Hello again, everybody. I'm Josh Bean from AL.com. I'm joined by Ben Thomas and Jefff Sentell. We're going to talk about next year's Mr. Football Award. Kerryon Johnson won the 2014 award. Now let's look ahead a little bit to 2015. Jeff, when you start handicapping the field 365 days from now, who are the top guys to maybe take home the Mr. Football Award next year?
You know, I think if this was Vegas, they'd put 2-to-1 odds on the following. Here's my stone cold lead pipe lock guarantee. I think next year's Mr. Football will start spelling his name with T-Y. It's either going to be Ty Pigram of Clay Chalkville, 61 touchdowns this year, or Tyler Johnston of Spanish Fort. I looked through the final records today and the final voting. There was only one guy who won a Backer Lineman of the Year award from the Alabama Sports Writers Association. He'll be back next year. That's Pigram. He was the only non-senior to win an award, and he was also the only non-senior in the Super 12, which always qualifies it as the Mr. Football voting.
Let's talk a little bit about Tyler Johnston from Spanish Fort, had the knee injury. Give people an update on him and maybe handicap his chances to win Mr. Football.
Yeah, I think two things for him to consider. He's coming back well from what I understand. Had knee surgery midway through the season. Was hurt in the first game against Saraland.
That's right.
I've talked to his dad recently, and he said all is well. He is rehabbing, and everything looks good to be back next year. The next thing is he'll have a new coach.
That's right.
Mark Freeman left after 2 state titles to go to Thompson. In comes Ben Blackman, just announced this week. So what type of offense, how many changes will there be in that offense? But I don't think any doubt that he'll be back full strength. That's a very tough region, as you know, with Saraland, who made it to the finals. Daphne, Blunt, so he'll have a good stage for a good career. I think the key thing is not his health; it's what are the differences in his offense and how does he adjust to it.
You know, as Kerryon Johnson won this award, he's been on everybody's radar for 3 or 4 years, and I think the term you use, Jeff, is street cred. You have to, that name recognition really helps you. You know, in Pigram's case, he seems like he's the guy who will have that going into 2015.
Yeah, you know, and I don't know. I mean, goodness gracious, if he somehow tops 61 touchdowns, and maybe they might face Spanish Fort in the state title game. If I had to pick 2 teams to play in the 6A finals next year at Bryant-Denny, I would say Spanish Fort. Clay Chalkville sounds about as good as anybody. And, you know, he's got 2 SEC receivers. He needs to find another big play back, but he proved he could make it happen in the playoffs without an incredible college prospect at running back. And, you know, I didn't think 61 touchdowns is possible. His offensive coordinator will likely be back. 4 out of the 5 offensive linemen will likely be back. And, you know, if he gets anywhere around 65, 69 touchdowns, I mean, that's going to be unheard of.
It is going to be difficult to beat. But, you know, this is an award that usually goes to a skill position guy. So, real quickly, one of you guys, what do you think of a guy like Malik Miller or Denzel Mitchell, the running back at Hamilton?
Well, I think it would be interesting. Could Madison Academy win 2 straight? Yeah. Malik Miller was here last year as a finalist, and certainly is talented. He and Kerryon together, we've heard their names for the last 2 or 3 years, I think, and now with Kerryon gone, you've got to think he's going to be featured more. Can he win it again? I think it'll be interesting.
You know, the one thing I want to wonder is, will the defensive guys ever break through? I mean, if you think about the most impactful players next year on Alabama high school football field, I would think of the linebacker from Gordo, Ben Davis. He is fantastic. And then Lindale Mack Wilson out of Carver Montgomery. I mean, these guys are like, they're like an outbreak of disease on defense. People want to stay away from these guys. I mean, that's how dangerous those guys are. But, you know, you have to sit there and handicap it and think of an offensive player. Then there's a guy like Denzel of Hamilton, but Denzel Williams of Hamilton. But then you've also got a guy like, you know, you've got so many players to look at. I think a dark horse might be Trey Nation of Leeds. I mean, his team will likely be back in the 4A finals, and he'll probably run for another 2,000 yards again, and he'll probably end up with 7,000 career rushing yards, something insane like that.
I think another dark horse candidate, a guy that you know well from the Mobile area, Theodore's LaMichael Pirine. I mean, he's a guy, he's put up some good numbers. SEC scouts really like him. How do you handicap the possibility of him getting in that kind of stratosphere next year?
Well, I mean, he's certainly a talented running back. The problem is he plays in a tough region down there, and they haven't even gotten into the playoffs the last few years. So I think he would need to, I think he ran for 1,400 yards this year. If he could get Theodore into that playoff race, that would certainly help. You know, you look at a guy like Austin McPherson of St. Paul's, ran for 2,000 yards, was a finalist this year. They should be primed for another run lap next year. He may be back in that consideration again.
Well, it'll be exciting to see. You know, as Jeff mentioned, we have 2 or 3 fantastic defensive players in the class of 2016. And obviously we have guys like Todd Pigrome and Malik Miller who have already put up fantastic numbers throughout their careers. You can follow all of our coverage of high school sports, and of course we'll be covering this Mr. Football race at AL.com or AL.com/high school. Thanks for watching.